Hello, I'm Megan Lee, editor of Pike Place Market News and The Scandalous Scallion. You may have seen some of the characters, Harry and Twister Thomas, in the film today, and I might have made an appearance as well. Today we're interviewing Paul Dunn, president of Friends of the Market and columnist for the Pike Place Market News, about some of his take on the history of the Pike Place Market.
In tours that I give, I kind of summarize it as quickly as I can, that it began at the insistence almost of consumers of farm produce who were not able to buy directly from farmers. And with the help of the city's council, space was put out on Pike Street here, which was a vital switchback back from the waterfront up to the main downtown area. And that was in August of 1907, and the market became immediately successful, with hundreds of farmers coming each day from all over the surrounding, I guess the word is hinterland. But they came over water. They came from Bainbridge Island, and they came from Vashon Island. They came from many different directions to sell at the market. And it grew and drew commercial developers who built hotels and shops and other markets around that public street. Until, and the market as we see it now was probably completed around the end of World War II. The structure of the buildings, the Leland Hotel, the Corner Market Building, the LaSalle, this building, the Economy Building, were all here then. So it looked substantially the same as it did when you had nothing but Model Ts out on the sidewalk there.
That's yours on the top of your book just here.
Oh yeah, that photograph there is a typical one of the 1920s.
And that's before they changed the traffic on Pike Place, and then changed it. It's been changed 3 times? I think something like that, 2 times?
Yeah, the traffic was changed in the 60s or 70s.
This one is going as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I think it was a 2-way at that time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, the market was popular, as I said, with tourists in the 20s and also with local residents, but by the 30s, it became a very valued market for low-income people. And just about everybody in the Seattle area was low-income in the Depression. So great value was found down here in low-priced foods. There were an awful lot of thrift shops, second-hand clothing places. There was a place that sold horse meat. And it was known as a value location at that time. And then when World War II came, the internment of the Japanese, who provided almost 2/3 of the farmers that sold in the market, their loss was great to the market. And when the war was over, not all of them returned to farming or returned to the Seattle area or returned to the market. So the market was decidedly different after the Second World War, and it began to decline as the methods of merchandising food in the area changed. Small grocers and greengrocers and butcher shops combined into small supermarkets, which combined into larger supermarkets. People drove to their shopping. There were more opportunities for them to shop closer to home. The market was on hard times in the 50s and 60s. And its private owners did not invest in the support of the superstructure that kept the place looking up fresh and vital. So there was a movement to use federal urban renewal funds in the 1960s to raise the market and change the neighborhood into one of parking garages, apartment homes, and office structures. That effort was supported by large downtown commercial interests, but opposed by people that loved the market for its intrinsic values. And that fight, that resistance, was led by Wayne Luke, who was a city council member, Robert Ashley, who was a lawyer in downtown Seattle, and principally Victor Steinbrook, who was an architecture professor at the University of Washington, who dearly loved the market. And they formed a group called the Friends of the Market, which was an off-growth of Allied Arts, and worked from 1964 till 71 to preserve the market. They fought all of the plans that came through. They started lawsuits to stop the flow of federal money. Victor created a National Historic District of the market. It was put on the Register of Historic Districts for the state of Washington. And principally, and the most importantly, they created a citizens' initiative to save the Pike Place Market, to preserve it as a historical district, to create a historical commission to oversee the management of the market. And that passed in 1971. And that was a very great break in the history of the market. Because from that time on, the market had its own government. A Preservation and Development Authority ordinance or law was passed in the state, allowing cities of certain sizes to create preservation and development authorities, which were semi-governmental and self-governing and self-sustaining. They did not require tax benefits to keep going. And that has been the form of government for the market since 1973. It has been the principal manager of the market. That PDA took title to all of the land that the city owned of the market at that time, which amounts to about 80% or more of the land within the historical district. There are private landowners still in the district there. There was another threat to the market in the late 90s, pardon me, in the late 80s, early 90s, deriving from mortgages sold for historical tax credits in the early 80s to finish completion of renovation in the market. That resulted in a frightening threat to the market as outside interests wanted to take over ownership. It was thwarted with, again, another great public effort, this one led by Victor Steinberg's son, Peter Steinberg, city council member, now, who was a private citizen at that time, an architect. And his friends and quite a few lawyers, plus the city was working on the market's side some of the time. That threat was cleared in 1991, and a new market charter, a revised market charter, was put in place to prevent such ownership shenanigans happening again. And governmentally and legislatively, it's been smooth sailing for the market. And we expect, you're going to ask, what's the forecast for the next 100 years? Why, nothing but honey and wine and roses and